Hey everybody, welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, it's theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Normally the way this show works is you send questions either through email, dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com, or call or text 949-415-6256, and I'll get back to you. Even if I don't make a video out of your question, I'll still get back to you. And today's video is actually going to be more of a commentary. So for those of you who follow me regularly, you would have noticed that a few weeks ago I made a video where I compared electronic data capture and the revolution that kind of took place last decade, like in the early to mid 2000s, with electronic data capture platforms. So basically when the industry moved pretty much all of its studies from paper-based CRFs to electronic CRFs, all right? And there was a lot of resistance around that. Well, I made a video where I compared that to what's going on now with virtual workspaces, which, as you might notice, Intralinks is one of the sponsors. So they're one of the companies that provide virtual workspaces for clinical research companies. Okay, they are a sponsor. So towards the end of that video, I started talking about archiving, and it was kind of spontaneous how it happened. I don't plan any of my videos. They're all like shoot from the hip. Spontaneously, I started talking about archiving study documents because that is one of the biggest pain points for research clinics and research companies and principal investigators since the beginning of clinical research, probably. I mean, at least since I've been involved, which is like the late 90s. That's a huge pain point. So for those of you who don't know, when a study closes at a site, so you have the closeout visit, all the queries are answered, everything's taken care of, a site is required, and look in your contract, you'll see this. A site is required to keep study records, which means all source data, all CRFs, all reg binders, although since the CRFs are electronic, what they do is send you a CD-ROM, and you have to keep that. So you keep all these documents, which is boxes of stuff, right? For anywhere from 5 to over 30 years. I've seen requests over 30 years, and the wide range and the difference between the companies is due to the fact that different sponsors have different internal processes and also different regulatory agencies depending on what country they're based out of. Okay, so you have some European and Japanese sponsors that are required to keep their records available for inspection over 30 years, all right? And in the US, I believe it's 5, okay? So anywhere from 5 to 30 years, you got to keep the records. And this is a problem because we often forget about this little caveat when we're negotiating our budgets. So we generally are paying for this out of our own pockets. I mean, we can get some of it in the budget, but even when you don't consider the monetary reasons for this study archiving process, it's still a very inefficient process. The way it works now is some sites, they store the records on site if they have enough space, like in an attic or in a garage or a warehouse. You can debate on how secure that is or how disaster proof that is. What if a fire happens or a flood happens or someone breaks in? I mean, 30 years, anything can happen, okay? So that's one inefficiency, all right? Obviously theft or just having files get lost and there's no electronic backups. And to retrieve the files, all right, a lot of sites are also outsourcing to Iron Mountain. So if they don't have space at their clinic or they just have so many different studies, Iron Mountain is one of the big companies for this sole purpose of document storage and retrieval. So each box, you have to put a barcode on it, and then hopefully you don't lose those barcodes so that when you call Iron Mountain, should you need a box, you have the exact label, which, by the way, in 30 years, good luck with that because you're probably going to have 30 different individuals who have the task of doing this should the need ever arise. So that's another inefficiency. On top of that, let's say the FDA comes in and needs those documents today because they can come in at any time. It's going to take Iron Mountain at least 3 to 5 business days to get it back to you. So all this got me thinking, there's so many inefficiencies. here's another technology. This is an application that could be used, and I'm actually in the process of archiving a whole bunch of studies right now. We're still using Iron Mountain. And it got me thinking, hey, why don't we upload all this to Intralinks, right? Or any virtual workspace that you choose. But Intralinks is good because it's HIPAA compliant. It's 21 CFR FDA Part 11 compliant. That deals with the electronic systems. It's already compliant. It's already being used for remote monitoring, for research purposes. Why don't we upload these records there, ship the originals back to the sponsor, and I'm actually going to try this with a few of the sponsors today. I'm in the process of archiving all these documents, and I'm going to ask them, I'm going to start with one and ask them, hey, can I upload them to Intralinks? That way we always have it, and even if I retire or the PI retires or I get kidnapped or abducted by aliens, someone from Intralinks is going to be there to be able to assist you if you need to retrieve these documents. On top of that, you will have the originals with you. So that cuts down on storage costs for the sites. That gives access to the records at any time. It's much cheaper than using Iron Mountain, much more efficient. You can get direct access to the records in real time rather than waiting 3 to 5 days. You don't have to go in your attic or your basement or your warehouse or your garage. I used to rent out public storage space before I even knew what Iron Mountain was. And I was there like on hot summer days archiving records, looking for files because monitors requested for me to go find some random file from 7 years ago. So there I was in a dark public storage unit in 100-degree plus weather in the summer, sweating. It was scary, looking for one paper, right? And if I would have had something like a virtual workspace back then, I would have been able to do all of this from the comfort of my own desk, my laptop, even from my iPhone or my iPad. So I think this is an application that hasn't been thought out yet, and I think it would just add another element of virtual workspaces that could be mutually beneficial for both CROs, sponsors, and research clinics. Alright, so let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know what your current archiving pain points are. How much are you paying for storage? How do you retrieve your archives? What is your retrieval process? I might take this conversation over to my LinkedIn Clinical Trials Guru Leaders group, and I'd like to know your thoughts on this, all right, on the virtual workspace, and can it actually solve the archiving problem, or is it just creating a whole nother problem that we don't know about yet? Let me know your thoughts. I'm interested to hear more, and I will definitely follow up with you on the status of my sponsor and whether they're okay with this idea or not. Dan from theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Take care.